What's up, guys? This is community update number 5, a week and a month. Yes, a month and a week. There you go. We have some really interesting things to talk through, so let's get into it. So the first is Mainnet V1.1. We'll next talk about TGE updates. The next is Smartcoin Utility and Rewards, working lottery, and then a few proposed updates to governance that you all might find interesting. So let's get into it. So for Mainnet V1.1, we are finally fully shipped. So hooray, that's great. It's amazing. We only got 2 more steps to go. Recently, we have started to segregate some of the tasks from 1.1 to 1.2 to 1.3, because in some cases, the tasks bleed over, right? You're building something greater. And so all of the things build on top of each other. So getting 1.1 out the door was a major accomplishment. And we've also acquired certain institutional centralized exchange accounts within our overall compliance structure that will allow collateral to be safer and our overall ecosystem to work much, much better. So not only does that mean you'll see an improvement in the performance of any strategy based on the protocol, but you'll also see better performing assets, which is what we are working towards. So within 1.1, we added some UI UX. So an update to the landing page design. You'll be able to see all of our amazing investors, and shout out to our investors, our auditors, and also just be able to navigate the overall DApp a little bit more easily. We have also added all of our disclosures in terms of use down there. So again, making sure that the overall protocol is as compliant as possible. Next is an update on design. So with regards to the token details page, the leaderboard, the synth details page, and the dashboard, all of those things have been updated. So take a look, especially those who have been using our synthetic options. Check them out. It looks much sexier and also hopefully a lot easier to use, and most importantly, a lot easier to use. And so we'll continue to move toward what is now becoming effectively an asset management protocol, but also, and most importantly, a Smartcoin DEX as we get ready for the YBTC launch. And of course, last but not least, an update on our terms of use. Again, guys, compliance, compliance, compliance. It is very, very important that we make sure that we insulate the protocol in all ways that both protect users, but also make it very clear as to what is happening and what is not happening when it comes to the underlying trading strategies taking place. So that is it on Mainnet V1.1. It is shipped. It is gone. It's at your door. You can pick it up just like a package from Amazon. But you're gonna have to wait for 1.2 and 1.3 because they are much harder to deliver, but we are still doing the work, and we'll keep you updated as we progress through this 3-part mainnet delivery. Next up is working lottery UX updates. Now, I know in the last update, it was somewhat jank. Okay, it's okay to be accountable. Somewhat jank. We do have updated designs on the working lottery, what it's going to look like, and how much utility it really will drive toward the Umoja token with regards to redistributing rewards to protocol participants that put in the work. So up next, G-Tokenomics, a governance proposal internal to the core development arm of the Umoja ecosystem, which is Umoja Labs Corp. This is something that I will also post on my blog or on Umoja's blog, just to make sure that everybody's aware. It is not finalized, nor is it accepted, but I'm hopeful. Okay, I'm hopeful, guys. We'll see if the critique doesn't kill it. But what is G-Tokenomics? So as some of you may be familiar, V-Tokenomics is something introduced by the protocol Curve Finance and also adopted by protocols like Balancer. And the whole point of V-Tokenomics is to ensure that only protocol participants can be governed. And this is very, very important. You don't just want outside capital to go on Coinbase or Binance, buy a whole bunch of your governance tokens, and then be able to facilitate proposals that are against the will or the desires of the broader community. But the issue with V-Tokenomics is that it's still a plutocratic system. And this is something that affects pretty much every DeFi protocol that exists, at least that I'm aware of, but certainly the major ones. And in fact, a few years ago, I had a small spat with Vitalik on exactly this, that you cannot continue to have plutocratic systems, particularly as the overall industry becomes deinstitutionalized. But aside from that, G-Tokenomics is a variant of V-Tokenomics. It's a proposal that not only resolves the complexity of actually developing, right, and executing on a V-tokenomic system, which does take a lot of time, but it also greatly simplifies the math and it increases the willingness to minimize plutocracy in a system that should be as decentralized as possible at its greatest. And so it does a few things. The first thing is that it allows the staking of LP tokens to the governance pool. So LP tokens, or liquidity provider tokens, that you would typically get from a decentralized exchange like Uniswap, usually comes in two parts, right? One token that you put in and the other token that you come in, right? The pair. And so in the context of Umoja, we will have a native DEX that you're able to swap protocol native tokens like Umoja, UUSD that you get from staking USDC to the insurance pool, and also all the different smart coins that are produced. Specifically, the LP tokens that are allowed to be staked to the governance pool to accrue voter influence are ones that have Umoja in the pair. More specifically, Smartcoin and Umoja pair LP tokens, and then also UUSD and Umoja pair LP tokens. And of course, outside of those main two, it would also allow the staking of Umoja. Now, the next step is, what is the multiplier to these different assets? Because they shouldn't accrue voter influence at the same rate. And so right now you have a standard 1 multiplier for Umoja, I believe a 1.8 for Smartcoins and Umoja LP tokens, and then a 2 for UUSD and Umoja LP tokens. The reason why LP tokens that support Umoja and UUSD liquidity is because it forces that particular participant to also stake the insurance pool, making overall the entire protocol ecosystem a lot more safe. Because remember, the insurance pool is literally the reserve capital to protect all users from black swan events and smart contract exploits. And that, quite frankly, is one of the risks of using any asset management protocol. Of course, increasing the liquidity and depth of Smartcoin and Umoja pair pools is also very important. And overall, making sure that the inflation comes down on Umoja if it's otherwise being distributed based off of vesting contracts from previous investors or team members on the core development team. So there's a lot of flywheels built into allowing people to vest LP tokens related to the liquidity of the protocol and also the native token of the protocol into the governance pool. But some of you may be wondering, well, that does not solve plutocracy at all. And so here's the kicker. There is a linear decay function that is enacted to make sure that people who put in a little bit of money over a long period of time make a lot more voter influence sooner than those who put in a substantial sum of money in a shorter period of time. So this eliminates the ability to gain based off of the money that you have, and rather focuses on people who are, staking for the long term. In fact, it also gives people who are already earning yield or swap fees from their liquidity provider tokens by earning additional fees via the governance pool, which leads to the next part. The governance pool will distribute rewards, just like the insurance pool, and it will be in USDC, at least initially. And these rewards will be distributed in a 70-30 ratio, 70% to people who are actually voting, which we can get from the snapshots of those who participate in actual governance, right? Voting on proposals, making proposals, etc. And 30% will go to people who are just passively staking the governance pool with no real inclination to actually be a participant. This makes sure that we actually increase the rate of participation when it comes to Umoja governance. Because let's be honest, governance more or less has been kind of the laughingstock of utility, right? A lot of projects add it just because they don't want their token named as security. But we actually do want to decentralize the governance efforts of Umoja and creating sustainable rewards from revenues, more specifically from Smartcoin minting revenues, is a great way to do it and kicks off that flywheel. So those are some of the core parts of the G tokenomics, because my name is Greenfield and because I made it, I get to do that. Hey, y'all can propose something and y'all can name it Smithnomics or whatever. But the core parts of G tokenomics, there are other parts as well. Again, I'll put out a blog about it, but I'm sure that there are some kinks that we need to work out with regards to having other operations engineer, beyond myself, take a look, find faults and attack vectors within the current algorithms that are being used to, control decay, to control voter influence accrual, and also to make sure that the different types of tokens are standardized when it comes to that accrual. So that's pretty much it on governance. Effectively, if this proposal is passed, we will go from what we would have done, which is V tokenomic structure, to a G tokenomic structure, which will accept broader tokens and also hopefully get rid of plutocracy within our ecosystem. So second to Mainnet V1.1 delivery is TGE. I know that a few of you who participated in the paid launchpad or the ignition launchpad are somewhat upset with us. Again, guys, apologies. We try to be as transparent as possible in previous videos and updates with regards to why we're moving TGE. And I'd have to say we're doing it again, but let me take more time to explain our reasoning anytime we make such a impactful decision. So the first thing is that we're moving TGE to October. I don't imagine it moving any further than October because that's already in Q4. And then secondly, the reason is because we are hyper focused on getting Mainnet out, right? V1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. Namely because the current version of the protocol isn't the full version, right? Synths are just the building blocks to smart coins, right? Assets that you can passively invest in that are decentrally controlled, autonomously, implemented via the algorithms underlying them, and also are principal protected and can be not only, a great way to monetize Bitcoin, but many other tokens as well. And of course, it is pretty much an infinite market of smart assets that will allow retail investors and institutional investors alike to become safe, which is in direct alignment with our mission to democratize wealth creating tools. So this is first and above all the thing that we need to focus on, and adoption of these things and the overall traction of the protocol is most important by far. I can't tell you how many other founders that have billion-dollar market caps that I have talked to that say that TGE and just maintaining the price and the tokenomics associated with the speculation of a protocol is a lot of work, right? And so you don't want to have to do those two things in parallel. You don't want to further establish protocol market fit while making sure that the protocol is earning revenue sustainably, that the tools that it's providing the broader DeFi community are actually adopted, and then also have to coordinate the marketing efforts, the market making efforts, and also the sentiment, around a particular token. And so although we've done all the compliance work with regards to a legal opinion on the Umoja token, and of course, have, as you all know, a pretty deep Gitbook and white paper in describing not only how it functions, but how the protocol at large functions, we have to push things like this back, assuming that the YBTC launch will be before it, between the months of August and then of course all the way to October. So this not only gives us more time to give you more updates, it also gives us more time to build a stronger community. I mean, as you all know, if you have any desire of getting listed by an exchange or anything of the like, you need to have a strong community. And this is something where we need to do better, having more videos like these, more updates, but also just engage and have you all come on spaces and community calls on Discord more. And so until we can perform at a level in which we feel like we're ready, fully ready to have a great TGE, we have to postpone it to be as responsible as possible. But I would say, please tune in to the community updates like this because I talk about these things a lot. And I know that sometimes things can get lost in translation or lost on X. And so these will always be on YouTube if you're looking for them anywhere. Again, I appreciate your patience and we'll keep working hard. So third on our list is Smartcoin Utility and Rewards. So one thing that I talk a lot about is compliance. We have terms of use, we have disclosures, we have memorandums that create legal and compliance infrastructure around the broader protocol. And the same thing we are doing for smart coins. Now, the closest thing to a smart coin is going to be Athena Labs USDE and staked USDE. And as you can see, USDE is listed by several centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges, but SUSDE isn't. And that's because the risk that it has for those centralized exchanges, because it is a yield-bearing asset with underlying trading, is too great. And likely smart coins will be in a similar category. So the thing that we need to do when it comes to making sure that smart coins are seen as one, something that's crypto native, and two, something that does not resemble any of the stocks or equities that you see in the traditional financial market, is to provide it utility and real utility. And this is a proposal that is being made right now and will likely be accepted to ensure that smart coins are not only used as self-trading cryptocurrencies that can mitigate risk and optimize yields, but you can also leverage them in ways in which, one, they're decentrally controlled in terms of the fees assessed and the revenue earned by the protocol from their minting. But then two, they can be, a huge part of providing more safety by redistributing those revenues to the insurance pool and staked to the governance pool to accrue voter influence. So let's get into the different aspects of the oncoming utility of all smart coins, obviously including YBTC, and how this will strengthen our overall compliance framework. So the first thing is that smart coins will be able to be staked to the governance pool. More specifically, you will be able to stake LP tokens of any smart coin that is paired in a liquidity pool with Umoja. So YBTC, Umoja LP tokens. So YBTC, Umoja LP tokens, or YETH or YSOL, any smart coin that is in a pool with Umoja, those LP tokens will be able to be staked to the governance pool, and those holders will be able to not only earn the fees from those LP tokens, but also earn additional rewards from the governance pool and accrue voting influence over time. The second part of the utility is related to where smart coin minting fees go. Smart coins are going to have two different fees. The first is an upfront fee. Right now it's at 0.625%, I believe. And the second is a performance fee. So if it performs, 15 or 20% greater than the average APY that it provides over the quarter, then a performance fee of, I believe, 10% will be taken and by the protocol itself. Now, the question is that after these fees are accrued, both from the minting and also performance fee, variably depending on how the previous quarter went, where do they go? And so they go to three places. They go to the governance pool, they go to different liquidity pools that have the most depth, and they also go to the insurance pool. And this kicks off three very important flywheels that drive an enormous amount of utility across the entire protocol. The first is that by redistributing a portion of the smart coin revenues to the governance pool, you'll be able to sustainably provide rewards for those who are actively governing the protocol. And this is why you see such poor governance adoption and participation across most protocols. It's because people are effectively volunteering to do it, and only people who have been delegated a certain amount of capital or governance tokens are ever paid for actually doing that work. And so in this case, if you are staking your LP tokens or staking Umoja to the governance pool, and you are actively voting on proposals or submitting proposals, you will get the lion's share of those rewards, which are funded by smart coin revenues. The second thing is insurance pool rewards. So obviously, the insurance pool already earns revenues from cents or the strategies that are placed on the protocol. It will add additional revenues from smart coins being minted and then being performant as well. And of course, as you all know, more rewards for the insurance pool means more people stake it to earn those rewards, means a safer Umoja for everyone. And this is one of the most important risk mitigants of the entire system. And so that utility of providing safety for all users against black swan events and also against smart contract exploits is enormous and provides a great deal of utility to smart coins in doing so. And then of course, the third is liquidity pools. As you all know, I'm a tokenomics nerd. I have read every white paper of every major protocol, in fact, a lot of minor protocols as well, to understand which design patterns look cool on paper versus actually do well in the real world. And what I would say is that the curve wars, or that of the tokenomics of curve finance, has worked amazingly, right? It worked over the course of years that you had the curve wars. And so what the curve wars are is basically it's leveraging game theory to get other protocols as participants to stake more and more liquidity on your protocol to control which of those pools gets the most rewards. And why would they do that, right? They would do that because that incentivizes their existing community to also stake liquidity into those pools with their native token and increase the overall depth of their markets as well. And so if you can redirect rewards to your pool, you increase your liquidity depth, and likely you're going to have positive price action on the secondary markets. And so a lot of protocols were doing this battle, right, of liquidity rewards on Curve just a few years ago. And so why not recreate that on Umoja? And so we do. We redirect Smartcoin fees or revenues to the liquidity pools that are the deepest between either Umoja and a foreign protocol's asset, or a Smartcoin and a foreign protocol's asset. And typically, those protocols will be some of the first partners of Umoja, giving them increased liquidity and, of course, giving us increased liquidity as well. And so what you have here between these three core revenue redistribution utility formats is a governance flywheel, an insurance flywheel, and a liquidity flywheel, all built into the revenue model of the Smartcoin. And last but not least, we have a referral model built within that revenue structure as well. So anyone who refers others to mint Smartcoins will earn 10% of their upfront fees. This is both to our institutional partners and our retail partners, meaning that you can quite literally earn a living from referring people to the Umoja protocol while also earning yield on top of that. And you can earn even more yield if you were to restake the liquidity pools, earning liquidity fees, and then again by taking those LP tokens and staking them to the governance pool. So we want to create as many earning, capabilities within the protocol as possible to kick off these flywheels so that the protocol is sustainably being governed, insured, and is liquid, and of course, overall functional. And so that goes into the Smartcoin utility overall. Again, I will put out a blog on this, and we will also add these notes to the Gitbook if it is accepted by the core development team. And that's pretty much it. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always reach out to me at RobTG4 in our Telegram, on X, or on Discord. Trust me, if you have bad things to say, I'm here to listen. I want to make sure that we're being as transparent as possible throughout this entire process, especially when we move things back for the betterment of the project. But of course, if you don't have bad things to say, that's great too. I love, hearing, great feedback regardless. We'll keep working. We'll keep having our heads down. And until then, peace.